Now to test these outside.
The night Itachi killed everyone Sasuke ever loved, Sasuke didn't go insane. He adapted, and that's the part most people get wrong, because every choice Sasuke makes after that night, walking away from friends, obsessing over revenge, burning his own life down, wasn't evil. It wasn't stupidity. It was survival. Psychologists have a name for this. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you've ever felt abandoned, misunderstood, or emotionally alone, you've probably done the same thing. You push people away. You chase goals that hurt you. You sabotage the things you care about. Not because you want pain, but because your brain learned one rule early on: never be vulnerable again. This video isn't about anime. It's about why trauma quietly rewires your decisions. Why strong people self-destruct. Why the most dangerous versions of us are created, not born. And if you've ever wondered, why do I keep ruining my own life? Or why can't I trust anyone even when they care? Then stay until the end, because the final realization will change how you see Sasuke, and it might finally explain yourself. Don't blink, because this lesson hits harder than any genjutsu, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. What if I told you that Sasuke Uchiha didn't become cold, distant, and obsessed with revenge because he was evil or broken, but because every single choice he made was his nervous system screaming for safety, because his entire life wasn't a villain arc, it was a trauma response. And if you've ever pushed people away, fixated on one goal, shut down emotionally, or turned pain into your personality just to survive, then this story isn't really about Sasuke at all. It's about you, because the most shocking truth isn't that Sasuke left the village or tried to destroy the world. It's that he was a child who never got a chance to feel safe again. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. So let's start at the beginning, before the rage, before the silence, before the revenge. Because before the Uchiha massacre, Sasuke was just a kid trying to earn his father's approval, trying to live up to a legacy that felt too big for his small shoulders. And if you've ever grown up feeling like love was conditional, like you only mattered when you performed well, you already know how this story feels. Before we talk about the villain Sasuke became, we need to talk about the child he was. Sasuke's childhood wasn't abusive in the obvious way, but it was emotionally cold. His father was distant, his mother was kind but overwhelmed, and his older brother Itachi was the golden child, the prodigy, the one everyone admired. And Sasuke learned a dangerous lesson very early in life, that love had to be earned, that being average wasn't enough, that being himself wasn't enough. And this is how trauma often starts, not with a single catastrophic event, but with emotional neglect, with feeling unseen, with, what if I told you that Sasuke Uchiha didn't become cold, distant, and obsessed with revenge because he was evil or broken, but because every single choice he made was his nervous system screaming for safety, because his entire life wasn't a villain arc, it was a trauma response. And if you've ever pushed people away, fixated on one goal, shut down emotionally, or turned pain into your personality just to survive, when you grow up with loss as your foundation, survival becomes your only personality, then this story isn't really about Sasuke at all. It's about you, because the most shocking truth isn't that Sasuke left the village or tried to destroy the world. It's that he was a child who never got a chance to feel safe again. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. So let's start at the beginning, before the rage, before the silence, before the revenge. Because before the Uchiha massacre, Sasuke was just a kid trying to earn his father's approval, trying to live up to a legacy that felt too big for his small shoulders. And if you've ever grown up feeling like love was conditional, like you only mattered when you performed well, you already know how this story feels. How long are you going to let something that happened to you define everything you do? Sasuke's childhood wasn't abusive in the obvious way, but it was emotionally cold. His father was distant, his mother was kind but overwhelmed, and his older brother Itachi was the golden child, the prodigy, the one everyone admired. And Sasuke learned a dangerous lesson very early in life, that love had to be earned, that being average wasn't enough, that being himself wasn't enough. And this is how trauma often starts, not with a single catastrophic event, but with emotional neglect, with feeling unseen, with constantly chasing validation. Psychologists call this attachment injury, when a child doesn't feel securely connected to their caregivers. And you see it in Sasuke's behavior even before the massacre, the way he obsesses overtraining, the way he compares himself to Itachi, the way his entire sense of worth depends on external approval, and then comes the night that shatters everything, the night that turns emotional neglect into full-blown psychological trauma. The Uchiha massacre isn't just a plot twist, it's a textbook example of traumatic stress overwhelming a child's brain. Sasuke witnesses the violent loss of his entire family, betrayed by the one person he loved and trusted most, and his brain does exactly what trauma brains do. It freezes that moment in time, because trauma isn't just about what happens to you, it's about what happens inside you. And according to trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk, the body keeps the score, meaning your nervous system doesn't forget, even when you want it to, even when years pass. And Sasuke's PTSD symptoms are everywhere if you know what to look for: intrusive memories, emotional numbness, hypervigilance, avoidance of vulnerability, a fixation on control. He isn't chasing power because he wants to be evil. He's chasing power because power feels like safety when your world has already proven it can collapse overnight. And here's the part that hits hardest. Sasuke never gets help, no therapy, no emotional processing, no safe adult to help him make sense of what happened. He's told to be strong, to move on, to focus on the future. And if you've ever been told to just get over it, you know how damaging that is, because unprocessed trauma doesn't disappear. It mutates, it becomes your identity, and this is where Sasuke's story stops being about revenge and starts being about survival. Trauma hijacks identity formation. Especially in childhood, psychologists say that when trauma occurs during key developmental years, it can fuse with a person's sense of self, and instead of saying I experienced something horrible, the brain starts saying I am something horrible, or I am nothing without this pain. And for Sasuke, revenge the organizing principle of his entire existence. It gives him structure, meaning, direction, because without it, there's just emptiness, grief, and unbearable loss. And this is something Gabor Mate talks about often, that addiction isn't about pleasure, it's about relief. And revenge functions like an addiction for Sasuke. It gives him a reason to wake up, a way to numb the pain, a story that explains his suffering. And when he joins Team 7, you see glimpses of who he could have been, moments of connection, laughter, even care. And those moments terrify him because closeness means vulnerability, and vulnerability means the possibility of loss all over again. So what does trauma do when it senses danger, even emotional danger? It pulls away, it shuts down, it chooses isolation over connection, because isolation hurts less than being abandoned. And this is why Sasuke leaves the village, not because he hates them, but because he can't risk loving them, because losing them would destroy him, and trauma brains are constantly scanning for threats, even in safe environments. And when Sasuke chooses hatred over healing, it isn't a moral failure, it's a survival strategy that once kept him alive. Hatred gives him focus, hatred gives him energy, hatred keeps the grief at bay, but it also locks him in the past, because time is frozen time, and revenge promises closure but never delivers it, because no amount of destruction can bring back what was lost. And when Sasuke finally confronts Itachi and later learns the truth, his world shatters again, because the story he built his identity around collapses. And this is another brutal truth about trauma. When the narrative you use to survive falls apart, you don't automatically heal, you often spiral, because now you have pain with no meaning, anger with no target, grief with no container. And this is where Sasuke becomes truly lost, bouncing from ideology to ideology, goal to goal, because he doesn't know who he is without his pain. And if that sounds familiar, it's because so many people do this in real life. They turn their trauma into a personality, the tough one, the angry one, the emotionally unavailable one, the one who doesn't need anyone, because letting go of that identity feels like erasing yourself. But here's the turning point, and it's subtle. Sasuke doesn't heal because someone defeats him. He heals because someone understands him. Naruto refuses to give up on him, not in a toxic way, but in a deeply human way, offering connection without conditions. And this is what trauma healing actually looks like. Not punishment, not revenge, but safe relationships, consistent presence, and the slow rebuilding of trust. And neuroscience backs this up. Trauma heals in connection, not isolation. Your nervous system learns safety through repeated experiences of being seen, heard, and accepted. And when Sasuke finally breaks down, when he finally allows himself to feel the grief he's been running from, that's the beginning of healing, not the end of his pain, but the end of pain being his entire identity. And this is the message that matters for you. You are not broken because you adapted to survive. Your coping mechanisms made sense at the time, even if they hurt you now. Pushing people away, obsessing over success, numbing your emotions, those were strategies, not flaws, but you don't have to live in survival mode forever. Healing is possible, even after years of running, even after building your whole life around pain. And if this story is hitting a little too close to home, if you're realizing that parts of your personality were built to protect you from something you never processed, take a second, breathe, and if you want more content like this, where anime stories help you understand yourself a little better, consider subscribing, not because you have to, but because you deserve tools that make healing feel less lonely. And as we reach the end, here's the truth. Sasuke's story leaves us with: revenge doesn't heal trauma, understanding does. Power doesn't heal trauma, connection does. Running doesn't heal trauma, facing it with support does. And you are not weak for needing help, you are human. And healing isn't about forgetting the past, it's about no longer letting it control your future. So if you've ever let pain become your whole personality like Sasuke, tell me in the comments. Let's talk, and when you're ready, watch the next video, because this journey of understanding yourself doesn't end here. It begins the moment you decide that your trauma is something you experience, not something you are, and even after everything, healing is possible, hope is real, and you are allowed to choose a different ending. Constantly chasing validation